Welcome to our program คุณธีรชัย
Yes.
สวัสดีครับ As we all know, the International Monetary Fund is in the process of picking a new managing director to succeed Dominic Strauss-Kahn, who is now facing sexually related criminal charges. And before the end of June, we expect to have the new managing director. But at this point, it appears that the super economic powers have decided to fill in Christine Lagarde, the French finance minister, for this job. So my question to you is that is the time that the BRICS or the emerging markets should have a more say in determining the new candidates for the IMF post?
First let me say that I have full respect for Christine Lagarde, but I think the game, the status of the IMF should really be re-looked at compared to the past. This institution was started, when at that time the big countries were strong. They were supposed to be the country with the right macroeconomy, with the right, with strong financial institutions, and the system of work that was supposed to be looked up to and supposed to be copied, by the emerging markets. And the role of the IMF was, to give out advice, to a lot of the emerging markets. Who needed assistance. But as you can see, things have changed. In fact, the financial crisis, one of the major causes that it occurred was because of the global imbalance. And this occurred not between the emerging markets, but it was between the United States and China. And you could see that over the years the IMF had been powerless in doing anything to solve this problem whatsoever. And with the recent problem occurring in sovereign debt in Europe, this also showed that somehow this institution is not doing its job in trying to prevent such problems from occurring. So I think it is time for the IMF to be run not by the advanced markets anymore, and in fact it should be run by the emerging markets to be more neutral.
I see. So you agree that the traditional practice that the IMF post now should belong to a European, and also the deputy managing director of the IMF goes to an American, and also this practice goes with the World Bank, in which the head or the president is served by Americans. Do you think that this is the remnants of the past that should be overcome?
I think the world has changed so much so that the role of the emerging markets should now become at the forefront. And it is, in fact, if anyone can put these large countries, to be more responsible in their acts, to be towing the proper policies, it will be the emerging markets.
The role of the International Monetary Fund is to, one of the roles is to monitor or to guard the global financial system from crisis. But over the years, over decades, we have witnessed crises one after another. So do you think that the IMF is doing its job or not?
Well, this is why I mentioned that even the biggest global imbalance that had gone on, the IMF was not effective in preventing it from building up. And I think even though the role of the large countries would still be important, but to have someone from a country without the direct and relevant issues being the immediate concern, might be a better choice than trying to to have someone from the traditional countries like in Europe or in the U.S.
But do you think that the BRICS countries, say like Brazil, India, Russia, China, and the emerging markets can come together and to have more bargaining power, in this selection process?
Well,
do they have the political clout to do so?
Unfortunately, we still lack the political power because, in terms of the number of votes, the U.S. And the European countries still command the majority of the vote. But what I'd like to do is to appeal to their common sense, to try to look further beyond the horizon and find someone who can be a better link, not only between the big countries, but also between the advanced countries and the emerging market. Someone like Kun Gaon, or in my opinion, perhaps someone better like Kun Thachai would be a really strong and capable candidate.
I see. Do you think that it's time that the BRICS country or the emerging market countries go ahead to create their own international financial architecture? I mean, not to replace, but as an alternative, to the existing structures, if in case that this existing structure doesn't fit it well with the changing global environment?
Obviously, the best option, is to make the existing institution more relevant with the advanced countries, more relevant with the emerging market. And as I say, this is the only way to do it is to address the issue of governance in a more with a more radical departure from previous line of thought. But obviously, if that cannot be done, at one point in time, the emerging markets may lose patience and may see the institutions just less and less relevant for them, and it may even lead them to set up their own institutions in order to serve them better. And I think the thinking along the line of setting up something called the Asian Monetary Fund was rooted in this cause.
Thank you very much, Kun Thirachai, for joining our program.
Welcome.
สวัสดีครับ